I'm a long way from Rock Harbor, so that's a story I can tell, sitting out this humid afternoon with its unfamiliar light, writing letters and tearing them up, miles from home. I want to say that I don't know how any of it happened, but maybe that's not true. It's easy to see your life coming when every choice you make comes out of only two things: too much fear and too much luck. Rock Harbor is based primarily in Fall River, but also New Bedford, Lawrence, Lowell, all these towns in New England that used to be the center of the textile industry. They used to call Fall River Spindle City, and now look at it. It's filled with the empty factories that haven't changed much since the setting of the book. One day this was one of the biggest cotton producing cities in America. And within a couple of years, it was all gone, completely shut down, and it's never really recovered. What happened is they didn't keep upgrading their machinery during World War I, and the war kind of gave them this false boost. Then the unions rose up north, and there weren't any unions down south yet, or not as strong. And so the industry just went south to where they didn't have to pay anybody really well. And as soon as World War I essentially ended, they always said Fall River was one of the first cities to enter the Great Depression because it had to declare bankruptcy, I believe in 1928. This is the Flint Mill, which is where the character Frankie's father works as an engraver. And actually my great-grandfather came from Manchester, England. And even though the book is fictional, I use some of the stuff from my family history. And he actually came to Poughkeepsie and then to Fall River from England, from Manchester, England, as an engraver. And I don't think he worked at the Flint Mill, but this was the neighborhood where a lot of the Portuguese workers lived, up the Flint, as they called it, Fall River. If you're ever driving from Providence out to Cape Cod, you can see all the mills, and they're all the same height because the different floors there were different functions for each floor. And they always had the looms on the bottom floor because that was the heaviest machinery. They used to keep all the windows shut in the summertime because otherwise the thread was more likely to break. So you've got a really humid, horrible, hot New England summer, and all the windows are kept shut. And everybody's working in there, of course, kids and a lot of child labor. These mills and this whole landscape was a big part of my childhood because we'd come up here all year round, really. In the summers a lot, but also all year round because we have cousins here. And so the whole kind of mythology of the mills and of this town really was part of my life for as far back as I can remember. I remember actually one time being in a plane. This was in the 70s. A lot of the mills burned down in insurance fires. And we were in a plane we must have been flying somewhere, but we were flying over Fall River. And one of the mills was burning, and the plane, it was a small plane, it circled around so that we could be over the mill burning, and I was with my dad in the plane. It was amazing to see the mills burning. Someone in the family, it might have been a great-great-grandfather, there was a story about that he was working in one of these mills, and that he looked up through a shaft, and some other kid, there were always kids working in the mills, dropped a shuttle down and put his eye out, and he was blind in one eye. My dad did work in a mill, but only for about a week. Now, his father didn't work in the mills. His father was the son of the president of the Massachusetts State Senate, and the character Winslow is loosely based on my father's father. And they always said he never knew how to do anything that well except for play polo. What I did was take this landscape of the mills that I really know, and the land around here of southeastern Massachusetts, the coast, which I know really well, and kind of just use that world for the setting of the book, even though the stuff that actually happens in the book is completely made up. There was the rushing noise of the mill all around us, and I smiled to myself in the dark. I wanted to leave and I wanted to stay. All that iron machinery pounding around us made me feel like I was finally at the center of something that mattered, the hard, industrial heart of Rock Harbor.